Is an Israeli counterstrike now inevitable aimed at Iran? What are the options now left for Israel and Iran? Will there be a war between the two countries that will drag in even more into this play? Who will play the peacemaker now, or is that now more and more difficult? I want to first get an Israeli perspective because I've spoken to two guests. Alex Gandler is Deputy Spokesperson, Israel Foreign Ministry, and I've also spoken to the Deputy Mayor of Israel, Fleur Hassan Nahum, joins me also from Jerusalem. First to you there at Mr. Gandler at the Israeli Foreign Ministry. I want to understand, shortly after the Iranian attack on Israel, your Prime Minister said, Iran has made a big mistake tonight and will pay for it. Whoever attacks us, we attack them. Are we to understand that there will be a counter-strike now on Iran by Israel? Is that now almost inevitable, sir?
I can say that there will be repercussions to what Iran did today against Israel. Iran's attack with more than 180 ballistic rockets on Israel is unprecedented, malicious, and there will be a response, and we will choose a way and a time to respond.
Okay, I know you're in probably a bunker somewhere there. That's why the video link that might be slightly problematic. But Mr. Netanyahu addressed Iranians directly, Mr. Gandler, on Monday. He said when Iran is finally free, and that moment will come a lot sooner than people think, everything will be different. Our two ancient people, the Jewish people, the Persian people, will finally be at peace. Our two countries, Israel and Iran, will be at peace. Is Israel not just looking at settling scores with Iran, but also looking for a regime change sooner or later?
Oh, at the end of the day, it comes down to the Iranian people and their decision. The Islamic regime of Iran will come to an end at some point. It is, people keep forgetting, this is not an ancient regime. This regime is from 1979. In our lifetime, and it will end in our lifetime, and people from Iran and Persia will be free. The same thing with people from Lebanon. They will be free from Hezbollah. Same thing with all other people in this region. They will be free from anything that is related to Iran or its proxies.
Many global strategic experts, Mr. Gandler, are saying the Iranian attack has now given Israel and possibly the United States an opportunity to also take out Iran's nuclear capabilities. Is that something that will be considered, or is restraint going to now be first the dominant theme, like was the case in April when there was a similar missile attack, obviously a lesser one?
Well, you need to understand that we have strategic goals. At the moment, our strategic goals are very clear. I think anyone can understand them. In the south with Hamas is to decapitate and drive out Hamas completely from the Gaza Strip, so it will no longer be a military or governing force in Gaza. And of course, most importantly than anything, bring back our 101 hostages that are being held in Hamas captivity for more than or close to a year. In the north, drive Hezbollah north of the Litani River, as per Resolution 1701 by the United Nations Security Council from 2006, and destruction of their capabilities and infrastructure in South Lebanon to attack citizens of Israel that have been displaced for the past year from the north of Israel. So these four objectives are extremely clear. In regards to Iran, you cannot disconnect these objectives from Iran, because when we're talking about Hamas or Hezbollah or the Houthis or Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq, we're talking about the one entity, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps in Iran and Iran itself. So it is all interconnected. There is no, there is a linkage between all arenas we're fighting.
I'm going to leave it there, Mr. Gandler. I appreciate you joining us to give us the Israeli perspective. I know you've got to leave for a moment, but I want to be joined now by Fleur Hassan Nahum. She's the Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem. Ma'am, how do you see the situation now, a day after this missile attack, given the fact that Iran and Israel now see each other in an increasingly eyeball-to-eyeball conflict? Is an escalation inevitable now, ma'am?
Well, we have been in conflict with Iran's proxies for a long time. Iran never wanted to get its hands dirty. Iran armed, facilitated, and created Hezbollah, the biggest terrorists on earth. They did the same with Hamas. They've done the same with the Houthis, and they're doing the same with Iraq. They've destroyed Syria. That's also become one of their proxies. And so Iran is in an attrition war with Israel for a long time. And since April have begun to show their face, mainly to probably show the proxies that they're not cowards. And last night, this country could have been destroyed, be it not for the very advanced technology we have in our air defenses.
But, Fleur Hassan Nahum, you've been saying that Israel has been targeted by the proxies of Iran, whether it's Hezbollah or Hamas, for years now. But the question comes, what happened last night surely takes this conflict to another level. It seems to suggest a more direct confrontation that Iraq is engaging in. Your Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying Iran made a big mistake tonight, will pay for it, whoever attacks, we attack them. Does that mean now that there will be direct conflict between Israel and Iran? Not through the proxies.
I think so. And I think that nobody should be sleeping quiet and well at night until Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, does not have the capacity to create a nuclear weapon, because that is a threat not just to Israel, but to the entire free world. And that really is the crux of the problem. So if it has to be Israel taking out the infrastructure for them to continue to do terrorism, not just here in the region, but across the world, then we will have to do it.
But then what you're saying means that a number of countries will be drawn into this battle. Is that a fear that Israel should have or would have now, that this could spiral simply out of control if these two countries go eyeball to eyeball?
Absolutely. We didn't start this war on the 7th of October. We didn't start the war with Hezbollah on the 8th of October. There was absolutely no reason. There's no territorial claims, apart, of course, from the age-old claim that they want to destroy the entire state of Israel and kill all the Jews here. But apart from that, there were no particular territorial claims. We left Gaza in 2005. We left Lebanon decades ago. And so there was absolutely no reason for these players to start a war with Israel unless they had a bigger plan in mind. And that plan is certainly Iran's plan.
Are the people of Israel, though, now firmly behind Benjamin Netanyahu at a moment like this? When he says, whoever attacks them, whoever attacks us, we will attack them. Are the people of Israel prepared for a conflict that could spiral out of control, that is with a country that has potential nuclear installations? Are the people ready for this war with Iran?
Well, we weren't ready for the 7th of October, but I think that all the country understands that we're facing some very big enemies, and that if we don't destroy them now, they will destroy us later. And so people here in Israel, you have to understand, are very strong, very resilient. Since the beginning of the establishment of the State of Israel, we've had existential wars in order to destroy us. Remember, Israel and India were established as independent states in the same year, and Israel has had almost 10 wars to destroy it, something that India hasn't had to deal with. You've had your own conflicts, but not existential conflicts, and we have had existential wars. So we're pretty tough people, and we've been around for 3,000 years or much more, but we've been in this land for over 3,000 years, and we're not going to be going anywhere.
But, Ms. Nahum, all of this comes potentially at a huge human cost. Thousands of civilians have already died in Gaza. We know that in Beirut there are civilians dying. The costs of these wars, and it could also cost Israel, Jerusalem and Tel Aviv as well if it comes under attack. Is that something, therefore, this scale of human suffering, is that being factored in if this conflict reaches the point of no return?
Well, this could end tomorrow. All Hezbollah have to do is go north of the Litani River, as they should have done under Resolution 1701. They should have complied with that resolution, and the world let them completely forget that that resolution existed. Hamas could return the 101 hostages that are in their dungeons, and then it would all be over. So the ball is not on Israel's court. The ball is on the court of the proxies of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
But you see, Iran and its supporters will then turn back and say Israel has exercised disproportionate force, which has resulted in the killing of thousands of civilians in Gaza, that Israel has not fully ever recognized the Palestinian state, has pushed the Palestinians into a corner. That's the narrative they play. We have these two competing narratives, each one calling the other a terrorist organization, the other saying we are an axis of a war of resistance. Do these narratives really continue to play out now, or are we reaching the stage, as I said, of a final battle where it is a moment which could prove decisive, a kind of tipping point? Have we reached that tipping point now, Ms. Nahum?
I have no idea if it's the final battle. It's certainly a battle that we didn't want or we didn't start. On the 7th of October, we didn't want this war. We had a ceasefire with Hamas on the 6th of October. They broke that ceasefire. Did they think that they were going to come, behead our babies, rape our women, kill our children, and that we would just sit here? You know, the Jewish people have faced huge enemies over our thousands years old history. Huge enemies, and we're still here. So those people who think that they can destroy us, think again. We're small people, but we're very resilient, and we will fight until all our threats are eliminated. We've done it before. In 1948, we were outnumbered, we were outgunned. We had every single Arab country bordering in Israel, invading Israel in order to destroy the nascent state of Israel. And if we won then, we will win now.
Are you reasonably confident, though, that there could be a regime change as well in Iran? Is that what Israel is gunning for? As I said to my other guest, that's what's being hinted at by Prime Minister Netanyahu, that this is not a war against the Iranian people, it's against the Islamic regime there. Do you see that actually happening? Can Israel bring a regime change? And will that not be seen by the world as a violation in a way of Iran's sovereignty?
No, and I'll tell you why. 80% of the Iranian people don't want that regime that subjugates them, that kills women for showing a strand of hair. This is Islamic jihadi fundamentalism. And 80% of the Iranian people do not want that government. Let them decide what government it is without rigged elections and police forces that kill women and children on the street and hang homosexuals from cranes. Let them decide who their leaders are. These people are not legitimately, democratically elected leaders of the Iranian people. So there's no sovereignty issues here.
I want to ask you, though, in conclusion, do you believe that the world, and expressly the world fully stands behind you, including the Arab world? Do you believe that there are other Islamic countries that will stand behind Israel if tomorrow you enter a direct conflict with Iran?
Well, last night we had Jordanian planes helping Israel. We've had Saudi Arabians and the Emiratis admitting in April that they helped Israel on that night when they also launched hundreds of rockets. And so we're already seeing a glimpse of what could be the new Middle East.
You know, that's interesting. You believe that this could now redraw the contours of conflict in the Middle East, a kind of new Middle East with Iran being isolated even within the Islamic world. Is that what you're suggesting, that Iran and its so-called proxies could get isolated while Israel gets the support of the so-called moderate Arab nations? Is that something you're counting on?
The moderate Sunni Arab nations already understand that Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and Islamic fundamentalism is the biggest threat facing the world. The West and the free world hasn't woken up to that yet, but the Sunni moderate Arab countries in the Gulf certainly have.
But the United States will probably also stand behind you. Do you see will this therefore be a joint US-Israel operation? If Iran were tomorrow to carry out attacks, continue to carry out attacks on Israeli soil, will we see Israel, United States working side by side to take on Iran or take on Tehran more directly?
Well, we've been working side by side the whole time. There were American warships in the Gulf helping last night as well. And so, yes, it's not a far-fetched idea to think that the liberal free world should come together to destroy the biggest threat to that world.
One final question, Ms. Nahum. India's role. Do you see India playing any kind of role at all? The Indian Prime Minister has spoken to Benjamin Netanyahu, called for de-escalation, called for efforts at restoring peace. Do you believe we have any leverage here in India? Can we play any role at all?
I think India is a very important friend of Israel. They have been for many years. It's a very important country. And I think that India also understands how poisonous Islamic fundamentalism is. So absolutely, I think they could play a key role.
In conclusion, ma'am, it's Israeli New Year, so a happy New Year. But are you entering this New Year with little reason to celebrate? Is this more a period of anger and fear as we approach the anniversary of what happened on October 7th? Has that completely changed in a way how Israelis also see the future now? Much more concern and trepidation, or confidence and determination?
Well, we are facing the new year as traumatized people from an attack that we never expected. But like I said earlier, we're resilient people. And the celebrations for New Year are normally a family-oriented dinner and lunch and food celebrations, and we will be continuing those as we do every single year.
Flower Hassan Nahum, for joining me there from Jerusalem to give us the Israeli perspective. Appreciate you joining us, and stay safe.